Guys, have you heard that saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me? This saying pretty much sums up Friday, June 6th for me because this is what happened. Both these stocks, VERO and VEE, took me for a ride for the same trappy setup and I fell for it. Each time within an hour. Yes, within an hour, guys. And I want to get into obviously my mistakes that I made on both these stocks. So hopefully I can learn from them and even you can learn from them in the process. But before I do so, there is something positive that happened this week. I still ended up green on the week because this red day was the worst day of the week for me. And I started the month pretty strong with a $1,500 green day on 2nd of June, Monday, followed it up with a $2,000 green day on Tuesday. Then I hit $1,100 on Wednesday and $1,050 on Thursday. So pretty thankful for how the week went. I know it did not end the way I wanted it to, but it is what it is. We got to learn and we have to move on. So without further ado, let's get into my screen share. So guys, we're in Trader View. That's my day, Friday, June 6th. Lost $2,647. It's painful, guys, but we gotta learn our lessons and make sure we don't repeat the same mistakes. And even if we do, just gotta ensure that we're not as red as we were before. That's the entire point of going over them. So I want to go over this short trade here on VERO where I lost 1,000. I tried flipping long. I'll obviously show you this trade as well. Lost on the long side as well. And this trade on VEE, which was very similar in terms of my mistakes that I made on VERO here. So if you look at it, that was 7:30 and within half an hour, I'm making the same exact mistake again. So let's get right into it. So that's my trade on VERO. Let's look at this 1 minute chart here. So this stock came up with news at 7:30. Obviously, that candle just told me that it might be selling off. So my bad. I think I was too eager to trade. It was a Friday. I wanted to finish my day quickly. Wrong attitude. And I obviously loaded up pretty heavily here. So I took 3 stabs on the start. That was my first stab here. Covered. Added short again. Covered. Added short again. And covered. So 3 stabs, all losers. And I should have paid more attention. I was just looking at these top wicks here, guys. But there was another side of the story that I was ignoring, and those are these bottom wicks. Each time it pulled back, and I felt that it was obviously going to flush, buyer stepped right in. And to be honest, this was not even an easy long trade because every pop was getting sold into, and every pop down was getting bought into. So it was each time this pattern shows up and I'm in the trade, I end up losing around $1,500, and it's painful, man. So I got to plug this one somehow. So that's my trade on VERO on the short side here. That's how it looked like. I mean, my entries are hidden here on the 5 minute. So like I said, 3 stabs on it. Let me look at the first page. Yeah. So started at 7:30, already covered. With my first entry was about 1,350 shares, a loser. Second one was about 1,200 shares, again lost on that. And the last one, 1,137 shares, lost on that as well. So poor trading there on my part. I should have also paid attention to these bottom wicks that were showing that buyers were clearly stepping in and this thing was just going nowhere. Ideally, I should have just avoided it altogether or at least waited till this candle here for a decent short and made some money. But in hindsight, obviously every trade looks perfect, but in the moment, I was obviously not on the same page as the price action that was appearing in front of me. So I tried going long as well because obviously I had to recover the money. That's my biggest weakness in trading, that each time I take a loss, instead of taking a break, I try and get back in and switch to the long side to see if I can recover some money there. So on this week, I added 2,000 shares, didn't even scale in. I just took a starter position of 2,000 shares and lost there as well. So I lost $580 there. So this trade on VERO was doomed in every way possible. And then my good friend, all the V's took me for a ride yesterday. So that was 7:30 when VERO came out with news. VEE came out with news at 8 o'clock, and although I was a bit more patient this time, I still fell for it. So took two stabs short, kept adding on the short side. So 2,800 shares on the first attempt. So I'm adding into this pullback, which is poor trading. If nothing else, I should have learned to at least short the pop from my trades on VERO to at least, if I had to scalp it properly, I should not have been adding on the pullbacks here. Instead, I should have been shorting pops and then covering on the pullback. But I did the exact opposite. So added here, covered here, again added, and this thing just rips up again. So very similar, guys, in its price action to VERO, and I should have known better. It was fresh in my mind, but I really did not think it would happen twice in a day. And so that first trade, 2,800 shares, obviously took a loser. Added pretty heavily again. I think close to 2,600 shares lost on that as well. So very similar mistakes. And like I said, guys, each time this pattern shows up, I end up losing because this took me back to my trade in January on ICCT here. This was on 27 Jan this year, 2025. Very similar pattern, guys, where I lost money. Look at that. I'm very focused on these top wicks. That's clearly telling me that there's a lot of selling pressure, but I'm ignoring how every time this thing flushes, buy a step in. Again, wick city in general, bottom and top. And I add here, and I'm adding and I'm covering. That's on the 5-minute chart. So I took two stabs there. So 1,100 shares there, took a loss. Then 1,000 shares, again took a loss. And very similar mistakes, guys. So I hope you understand how important it is to look at not just the top wicks, but just look at the bottom wicks and ensuring that you're not hitting the pullbacks aggressively like I did. So that's my mistake on VERO, VEE, and ICCT from earlier this year. So folks, that wraps up my first week of June. The market is still pretty hot and I hope it continues for the remainder of the month. I will keep you guys posted on how my month goes in my next video. Until then,